Your innovation needs the right medium to get to the right audience. Have you heard? A promotional news program that sells ideas, organizations, services, people, places and projects to the public with authority and in authenticity is the program to fix such ideas. Have you heard? Brings out the facts that the public wants to get in a unique and unbeatable style that keeps the audience glued to their TV set for bumper analysis on your product, service or activity. If you haven't told your story on Have You Heard, then the story hasn't been told. Let the public hear you loud and clear on Have You Heard. To feature on Have You Heard, contact the marketing department of Crystal TV on
0244 850 773 0302 324 344.
Have You Heard? Taking your ideas to your target.
Welcome back. My guest is still Dr. Dodoo. I'd like to really address him as the president of the International Society of the Pharmacovigilance, because that is the only office that non-African had ever been. So if he's there, I think we should raise him up and begin to say, hey, up you to my guest, Dr. Dodoo. Yeah. You were talking. I made a quotation before we went on break, and I took that from your statement that the fact that you are a brain surgeon does not mean you should, not work. Now, prayer is action. Hard work in action. How do you? What is your take about that?
I fully support that. I mean, I pray a lot in everything I do. But when you're an African, you always come in with, I would say, a negative. The perception is that we are lazy. The perception is that we don't work hard. The perception is that we don't deliver. Now, when you begin to get to places where you are identified and recognized, you have to work like 4 times harder. That means that there are a lot of things that you just have to sacrifice. Because in Western society, you must prove yourself. And unfortunately, proving yourself once is not enough for them. Proving yourself twice is not enough. It must be consistent and it must be all the time. And I work in the pharmaceutical industry in the UK, and when I came to Ghana, I noticed that the only way one can do anything is to be consistent and to be firm and to be hardworking.
Now, let me ask you, you have been to several countries, especially the Western countries and some Eastern part of the world. Are we really lazy in Africa? Is laziness one of the major problems we have?
I always say we lack the finish or the finishing. When I say we lack the finish or the finishing, like Asamoah missing the penalty. What happens is that you go to a society like Scandinavia. They are consistent in what they do. They like to do things and get it right once and for all. We tend to be relaxed about things. Oh, it should be all right. Even if it's not okay, there's tomorrow. There's not that urgency, that seriousness of let's do it once and do it once and for all. Let's do it properly all the time. No. And I get accused of being too Western when I stick to precision. I mean, I always tell them, if it's a party, I don't mind. But if you're going to plan a piece of work, when I'm having a training program in any country, I want to go to the room the day before. I want to look at the place. I want to look at the venue. Are the chairs and table working? Is the laptop there? These are little things, but they make a big difference. Quite often, we just wait for the day and things happen. So it's about planning, it's about preparation, but importantly, it's always about ensuring that the final product is good. I want to believe seriously that as Africans, quite often, we are not passionate about how our final product looks. I mean, you go to a Ghanaian restaurant, good food is brought, but sometimes you just put in plates and it's left there. You might go to a European restaurant, the food is not even tasty, but it's decorated with things that the size of the decorations makes you think you want it.
Yes, that reminds me, I went to a particular hotel, I won't mention that hotel. By the time I look at the decoration on the table, I said, wow! But something happened, doctor. Accidentally, one of the table fell.
Oh.
And when we look at the edges of the table, my dear, you would not put your dog's food on the table. But the decoration has turned it over. Well, that is what we should also learn to. Is it not like packaging fake in a corporate way?
In a way it could be, but what I have realized, I mean, I buy furniture here. If you buy 6 chairs for your dining room here in Accra, usually, and you put all the 6 together, the heights are never the same. it's a matter of just taking a ruler for every single chair doing it. And that for me is an example of how things run. You look at our hospitals, I work in healthcare, and you see things that you say, look, don't we as a people have the commitment to lift us up to the highest level? I've always maintained that we can do as much as anyone else. But either the system doesn't allow us, or we ourselves just feel like, oh, this is Africa.
Is it the system that allows us, or we allowing the system? Which one?
It's very difficult for me to tell, because I have strong views that I think it's both. I think it's both because, if the system, if you don't do good things, the system should punish you for it. Then you'll be forced to stand up to do it. But you go to bed and the system says, okay, it's all right.
But doctor, who makes the system?
Hey, that's a philosophical question.
Yeah, who makes the system? Because when we look at the system, we are still part. We are the system. It is the system we put in place that will we ride on.
I would answer your question by what I told pharmacists this year at the AGM. That we all need to ask ourselves whether we are just professionals, journalists, pharmacists, wherever we work, or we are statesmen. Quite often we just think of ourselves as professionals. So what do? I go to work, I do what I'm done if I'm given the tools. But if you think of yourself as a statesman or woman, if you go to work and someone probably steals the ball to the light, you're going to say, look, wait a minute. I may not be the light controller, but this thing eventually is going to affect us. So you're not going to allow it. If someone is late in coming or doesn't fix the mics or other tools you use, you're going to complain. Quite often I see us as ourselves as just protecting our skins. Staying in a small silo and saying, look, I'm just a pharmacist, let me do my work. Without accepting that health in its bigger ramification includes accommodation, housing, sanitation. And if we refuse to talk about these, then there's no point saying that you are just a pharmacist. So I agree with you, and I believe that those of us to whom a lot has been given, especially we have been thrust into leadership positions, must have views. And we must be willing to share that views with our countries to change the agenda. Of course, it comes with a lot of pain. You'll be harassed. I mean, the political leaders will always give you stress, but that for me is small pain. If you are willing to stand by the facts and the principles, those sort of things, I personally, you face it so many times, you get used to it.
Now, from your experience in Africa, what would you say have been the major reason for our not matching up or meeting up, I beg your pardon, to some standard of the West?
I'll use one word: commitment. We talk plenty. We are not committed to the things we want to do. By commitment, what do I mean? By commitment, we say, look, we want to keep Accra clean. You don't start by deciding that Dodoo or Crystal TV will make Accra clean. You call up the people. And in working with them to solve the problem, you are looking for the person who will do the best job, regardless of any coloration, whether it's tribe, religion, party politics, football team. But where almost everything is colored by one shade or another, whether it's football, you don't move forward. And I use the example that at the International Society of Pharmacovigilance, it got to a stage where it started with the International Federation of Pharmacists, which represents all pharmacists in the world. And I've been like a small executive member, and there was election for, it runs in sections, and the section on information. So 2008, and I went for that election. I stood against someone, an American professor, and I won. So I'm still the president. I will hand over next year, 2012. And when I won that presidency,
Can you go for a second term?
I can go for a second term.
Okay, let's go.
But I'm deciding that somebody else should come in. But the issues they brought up was, at that time, they were keen that the organization was getting too white and too old. But they said, you can't force anyone to stand for positions. They should stand, and they should deliver. Because I had a track record with them, it was easy. So when the time came for the International Society of Pharmacovigilance to look at its own future, I mean, the members, because the election is open, everyone who is a member and is fully paid up is allowed to, to contest. So I went for it. In the International Society of Pharmacovigilance, you only elect 11 people. And then 11 people will meet and elect a president.
Wow.
So when the 11 of us elected met, there were two people who also wanted to be presidents. And I also wanted to be president. So within a meeting room in Reims in France, we sat down and we needed to give our own visions and where we were going, what we wanted to offer, what we wanted to do. Obviously, people look at your track record. These days, they go to Google, they look at the amount of work you've published, the amount of advice you've given to countries, the places you have been. And the whole team, the other two said, look, we think you would send us further than any of us. And it was unanimous.
Unopposed again.
The two stood down. I mean, withdrew because we're going to work as a team. One of them became my vice president. She's still my vice president. And we meet regularly. She's based in Sweden. And then the other person is the treasurer. And it's worked fantastically. So I believe we can do a lot, but it's about a commitment. These were people who felt that we are living now in an Obama era. We need people who can go there and be our ambassadors. And there's so many invites that I would say, look, I'm tired of travel. Can you send someone? I said, no, Alex. We have an invite from, let's say, one Southeastern country ambassador to come and meet and speak about drug safety. And I said, no. Let someone from Europe go. I said, no. They want to feel the effect that we have a different person. That different person is going to give us different directions. And it's made it, I must say, the group has grown. It's just expanded. We've been so profitable over the past 2 years.
Doctor, you see, something was going on in my mind as you were talking. That this is the gentleman from 40 years ago in Jamestown, driving mosquitoes around himself, trying to say, and they're finding it difficult to even speak go as in English. Yeah. But now, sitting amongst whites all over the world, delivering papers. How do you feel when you stand in their midst, delivering papers, telling them the way forward, the pharmacovigilance group, all over the world? How do you feel? Your shoulder is not too big. You're not looking proud. So, but how do you feel, man?
Yeah, I try to keep my feet on the ground for so many reasons. And like I said, I always go to Jamestown for the dose of Jamestown at least once a week.
Up to now?
I still go to Jamestown.
Wow.
I still keep my friends there. We still, one, because you want to encourage people to move up. You want to give them a good example that it can be done. You want to tell them that yes, you can have your Coca-Cola and your beer, but you can still do better. And then you want to encourage their children. Standing in front of them initially was intimidating because you feel everybody's going to look at you as a black man rather than as an intellectual. But as you begin to prove, as you begin to offer things, 2 years ago I was offered a job, a very big job somewhere outside this country. And the interview panel said, how have you achieved so much in such a short time? Then I said, that is the only way I would have been noticed by you people, which is a fact. You have to be exceptional. So sometimes they say, the question they ask me is, do you ever sleep? I say, I wish I would get more time to sleep. But you see, it's got to do with, like I said, the commitment. Recently, I got an experience which for me was life-changing. But it humbled me rather. I went to do some work for the government of Mauritius. You travel business class to Mauritius, lovely island. Then you get on from the aeroplane and then there is a vehicle at the bottom with your name on it. I mean, your name
on the bottom.
So you don't get out, you don't get onto the tarmac. Then I started it and then they said, can we have your passport? Fine. Then they take you to a VIP lounge. They say, where's your luggage tag? Within 2 minutes, they're going to do immigration and everything for you. Bring your bags and everything. And they say, you'll be ready when you are. And the next thing you know, you're in town. I didn't even see the airport. I mean, use those words. Then it's like, wait a minute, from Jamestown to this place?
Wow.
But then when I got there, I thought, if the government has gone to such a stream, picking you with a limo every morning to work and back. I had a driver 24/7. You must give them what they need. I went around the whole island. I was there only for 9 days. I said, before I leave this country, I'm going to make sure my report is written. 25-page reports. I make sure it was written. So every day, I'll finish everything, come around 5 o'clock, come and sleep, wake up around midnight, work till about 4 o'clock, putting the report together. So by the time I finished, the government was shocked. But next time, they would invite me. But if I've gone and, Mauritius is beautiful, lie on the beach, so the opportunity surely will come. But for me, it is just the beginning. You need to use them even better. Because I see myself not as Alex Dodoo. I always say that if I go and I mess up big time, I've closed the door for a lot of black people. In fact, a lot of black people will never walk through those doors again. So the responsibility on me are awesome. I'm not representing myself, not even my continent. You are representing an entire race. And believe me, while there has been stereotypes, if you know, you have to work to wipe them off. And unfortunately, you cannot wipe them off by talking. You wipe them off by action, by delivery.
Wow, Dr. Alex Dodoo. You recall on this program again when I was speaking with the Prime Minister of Zimbabwe sometimes last year, he said, Africans, we only talk the talk. We don't walk the talk. This is a man who is talking and walking the talk. I want to say a big thank you to you for representing us. You say you are representing the black race, and that that is one thing we must all realize, that look, you are not just representing your country, you are not only representing your continent, you are representing the black race. Now, some people say that some professions are very lucrative than others. Would you want to agree with that? Maybe pharmacy is more lucrative than, do I say journalism?
I wouldn't say so, actually. What I would say is that there are a few professions which might give you a job and a stable job. You are a doctor, you usually get a job. You may not have the job satisfaction. You may not even make too much money, but you always have a job. But if you look across professions, it's those who have been willing to put in the hours consistently who make it. I have a book which was published just this year, and people say, well, how did you do it? Because I was writing for The Spectator over the years, I compiled it and launched it. It was launched in Geneva and a few other countries. But even compiling it took us 2 years, because when I said, you want to do it to a quality that nobody can doubt. When the quality came out, one of WHO's communications directors, an Englishman, called me, said, Alex, you know I'm a critic and I like to criticize things. I don't have anything to criticize on your book. Wow. For me, that is respect. The publisher is a Ghanaian. He gets calls saying that, how did you do it? Because I was with him, I even look at the symmetry. I don't like books that you open them in one pages. And we can do it. It is painful doing it, because you have to go it line by line. But that is the only way. And I always say that when we watch football, Premier League, you see the grass. It's so level, like someone took blade. We can do it. It's really up to us. And all I offer to Africans, to all of us, is that if we are committed to be successful, regardless of who leads us, and if we are committed to achieving certain clear outcomes, so we say, look, this is what we are going to do. If we do it, we are successful. Because part of it, we don't even know what we are meant to be achieving. If we are willing to do that, regardless of the field in which we are. Because look, there is money in Africa. We know people who are taxi drivers who are making money. Why? They work hard, they save enough, and they buy 2 taxis, 3 taxis, and by the time you buy the 8th taxi, you are doing well. You have someone who has a bookshop. He's making it. And in Ghana, you can use the likes of the Central Locals or the Laboni Wachi. People queue, they park their cars. Because these people they are available, they are consistent, they are reliable, and they deliver. I've also been to a lot of restaurants in Ghana where I'm saying, oh, we are going to have a party. Can we order 200 balls of banku with fish? No, every day we do only 70. We can't do the 200. Yes, we've had that problem regularly. Because the Pharmaceutical Society, we do annual general meetings. We have about 2,500 pharmacists coming. So you always want plenty food to feed them. You go to some people and their ambition is only 70 balls a day. So there is something inherently wrong. Some people just do the service. There are so many restaurants in Accra where you never get the food before 12. And if you go by 4, they say it's finished. And you keep telling them, what about forecasting? If people want more, if you work in McDonald's, you are told that if the customer comes at midnight and you've closed, and he's through the doors, you serve him. Are you sure you can get fufu now? In most of these areas, they've closed.
Wow, Africans, we must wake up, we must really do well. That is what Trailblazers Africa is all about. Someone behind the camera really said that Dr. Alex Dodoo is not our counselor. Because, I just got a signal that we'll be going very shortly. But before we leave, with all this experience of yours, would there be a day when you would say, well, Alex Dodoo, you have to come out and tell the Ghanaians, vote for Alex Dodoo as the president? Now, you won unopposed for the global election for the pharmacovigilance at the local level, the Pharmacist Association here in Ghana. You won unopposed. So, becoming the president will also be unopposed. Maybe all other parties will say no. If it has Alex Dodoo, no other person is coming against him. When is that coming out?
My friends in Europe always joke and call me, oh, this is the future president. I must say that my vision is I've always seen myself as a statesman. I believe strongly that I should serve my country, and I enjoy what I'm doing. I will also add, and I know a lot of Ghanaians always say, I won't do this, I won't do this. I have said that when the right opportunity comes to serve my nation in a different capacity and is offered, I will take it if it's available. But it's not something, I don't belong to anybody. It's a party, I enjoy life and I enjoy laughing at all of them and giving them stress. And, because I just believe that currently the politics of, I'll say we and them, I don't enjoy. I've always said that. Everybody knows that my campaign is always that fly the flag of Ghana. And I'm saying that let's just stand for Ghana. Let us fight for Ghana, regardless of who is there. And so I've always been involved in causes. I always say that everyone knows that I hate fake drugs with a passion. I hate patients dying. I mean, I'm a patient's rights advocate, and I'll push that. When the chance comes and the good Lord says, or I see my somewhere, as we say in Ghana, someone says, will you take on leadership position in this nation? I will not say no, but I'll prayerfully consider it.
Prayerfully consider it. This is the guy who grew up from Jamestown. Jamestown, one of the greatest places we have in Ghana, and now leading leaders all over the world, leading pharmacists all over the world, and anytime he comes, the whole world respects him. Finally, how do you cope with the family?
Oh, the kids are old. I have a set of twins, a boy and a girl. They're 13, and a 16-year-old. They're all in boarding school, so that makes life easy. And the wife also works, actually not in Accra, so we meet when we meet. But I must say, my wife is also a career person, so it's sort of understandable. What I do is that when I'm in Ghana, the kids know it's Friday night from 5 p.m. to Saturday evening is for them, and with the wife. When the kids sleep, we always have child. I must say that getting that family balance is difficult, but we are lucky. Our children are our friends. I mean, they talk to us sometimes like their classmates, so it makes things easy. You know, they can tell us off and do other things, and it makes things easy because I mean, I just call them tonight. I'm going to the studio. They say, "Oh, when are you coming?" I say, "Oh, what do you want?" You know, so we're able to negotiate those things, and emotionally they are being affected or not because they talk to you. So in that case,
yeah. Finally, what is your advice to the younger generation that are watching and the government of Africa? That is the leaders of Africa.
I believe strongly that the youth of Africa has a very huge potential. In my office, I only use young people, and they can do great things. So I think governments must give respect to them and give them positions of authority and leadership. But to the youth, when those positions are given, it's just the beginning. You must prove it. Because one young person messing up closes the door for all other young people. I believe strongly that if in the West, leaders at age 35, 42 can be presidents, it can and should happen here. But it's up to the youth. Hard work, dedication, discipline, sacrifice, and a commitment to excellence. That's what will win the day. The good book says in Proverbs that show me a man who is excellent in his work, he will stand before great leaders. He will stand before great people. That is what we have to aim for. And believe you me, a lot of us might complain about racism and this. But in the West, if you deliver, people will beat a track to your door. Because they know you will deliver.
If you deliver, people will look for you. All you need is to be hardworking, to be dedicated, to make a lot of sacrifice, be committed, and be satisfied with whatever you are doing. Well, I think if you ask me, I say Dr. Alex Dodoo could not have been a better person if not a pharmacist. Or would that be another wonder?
I love being a pharmacist.
Thank you very much for coming on to Business Africa. I hope you had a wonderful time with us.
I've had a good time.
Well, I'll be speaking with Dr. Alex Dodoo. He is the president of the Pharmacy Association of Ghana, and of course, the president of the International Society of Pharmacovigilance. And this office, he became the president not quite long. And by 2012, in France, another election will be taking place. This is the first African man, the first black man to say, to become the president of pharmacovigilance all over the world. Well, I've been working with a lot of people. I can see Sammy in the house. Robert is also in the house. Robert Glover, the one that I said, well, if there's anything that guy loves, what he loves most is anything that will make him laugh, even when he's not ready to laugh. He will just do something that will make him laugh. Reggie is back on his feet. We thank God for that. And he is really standing like a rock of Gibraltar. My own John Mensah on today's edition of the program. And Benjamin, the roving Asamoah and the baby jet we have in the house. And of course, the jumpist that will only laugh only when he wants to make people laugh. Talking about I.B. Johnson. My name is Moses Owopade. I'll see you again next week on Trail Business Africa. Bye-bye.